Welcome to Seriously Uncork Yourself. I am your host, Lynn Kuhn, and this is a podcast that brings to you a firsthand look at what it seriously means to meet people where they are in their life. Enjoy the experience from illusions to reality. Find out what it is to restore to high performance, renew your freedoms, and rejuvenate playfulness. I can't wait to share with you my experience and the experiences of many others in hopes that you feel inspired to renew yourself and live your best life. Thanks for listening. Now let's get started. Today, I am so very excited and honored to have my special guest, Teresa Chaulk, with me here on my very brand new podcast, Seriously Uncork Yourself. And I really do appreciate it, Teresa, that you were able to take some time out of your very, very busy schedule. And so, welcome. I'm glad you're here.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
And I would love to just tell just a little bit about Teresa. And she is a wife, she's a mom, and she is an educator, a coach, a leader, and above all, she is a servant to people. And she has said before that she had struggled with confidence, but found with courage, focus, and drive, anything can be accomplished. How cool is that? I love it. I love it. And so what I would love for you to do, Teresa, is just tell our audience a little bit more about yourself.
Okay, well, yes, like I said, I'm an educator. I'm a superintendent of schools in a small school district in Wyoming. I started out as a regular ed and special education teacher, and I've just moved through the ranks. And I believe that education opens the door for everyone, whether you're in school or out of school learning. My key phrase is knowledge achieves success wherever you're at in life. And I'm one of those, I know it's cliche, but I'm a lifelong learner. I have 2 bachelor's degrees, 3 masters, and I'm working on my doctorate. I just believe that education opens doors, whether it's formal or informal. It could just be education in life, but we have to learn from what we're doing and move on from there.
I love that. Thank you so much for telling me that. And today, the name of our podcast is Overcoming Your Past by Focusing on Your Future. And Teresa picked this title out. And so I'm going to once again hand over the baton to Teresa. And I'm going to let her tell the audience, what does this all mean to overcoming your past by focusing on your future?
I believe that everyone can overcome their past, but my story, it started out many years ago, but I was a high school dropout. I got married really young, and my husband ended up being abusive. And when I was 20 years old, I took a 1-year-old son and just myself 1,000 miles away, ran for safety. And I ended up going to school and earning my degree. And I believe, and it took courage, it took determination, it took focus, and I had to believe in myself. Even sometimes when I didn't feel like I could, I had that reason. I had my son. You have to have a reason. They'll say it's a why, but you have to have a reason to keep getting out of bed every day and moving forward. And that's an intrinsic thing. But I mean, I did that, and it's been 30 years. And now I'm, like I said, I'm superintendent of schools. This isn't positive, Lynn, but I am a workaholic. But with my career that I've chosen, I can still be that workaholic and was there for my kids all through school. I went to all their events, all their activities, because I was in control of my schedule to do that. But by overcoming your past, I mean, there are very few high school dropouts that are now superintendents of schools. And I think that story, I say that not to boast or brag, but if I can do it, anybody can do it. You just have to have the right drive.
Absolutely. And I just think that is so important, especially with our young adults nowadays and even the younger children, that they're able to look up and to have stories. And, like whoever this podcast, whoever listens to it, they can pass these what's on here to the younger children that are in there. And even the kids can, listen themselves. I don't know how many kids that are younger that are actually listening to podcasts, but I think there are quite a few. But it's nice for them to hear that, because I think nowadays with things that are so fast, and to me, it's the fast and the furious, everything, you can't say one thing without it being blasted everywhere. And so it's not like before it took a while to get to you. But now everything's out there on social media, everything's running really fast. And the kids need to know and have some structure in their life to look up to. So somebody that they can bring into their life and look up to them. What do you think about that?
No, I agree, but I would just have to expand on that. I don't think it's just kids. I think it's any human being at any stage in life needs to understand that no matter where they're at today, they can focus on tomorrow and make it better and make it different. It doesn't matter if you're 15, 18, 27, 32, or 55 or 70. Wherever you're at, if you want it to be different, you're in control of that. And sometimes you need information, you need lifelines, you need support. But that's why people like you and I are here, to give that and to help them navigate their way to achieve their goals and their destinations in life.
Oh my God, that is so true. And I'm so glad that you said that, to expand on that, because it is. And even to bring it like to myself, at my age, I'm 61 now. I don't know if I should be telling everybody that.
I'm 52. It's okay.
But sometimes I think to myself, even with doing the extra things that I'm doing now, because I love serving people. I love, the platform of getting the word out to other people. And a lot of times with myself, I'll think that, maybe I'm just too old to do this. And then when you were talking just now, you said in 70, I'm thinking, so I've got a few more years yet, right? But it's so true. I think sometimes we don't give ourselves the benefit of the doubt that we can actually do this. It takes a little structure. I think it takes, you got to get that into that pit of your stomach or in your heart or wherever that, you can do this and you can promote yourself and do extra things, as the years go on. So it can be from, like you said, the young person all the way up through seniors like me. Right?
Yes, I am. I just think you have to find the right support group and resources. And I think that's where a lot of people struggle in. They don't know where to start. They don't know where to look. And I think it's terrific that you have this podcast, because people, if they just accidentally click on it, you have a number of different resources and people that they can reach out to. But yeah, that's the whole thing about being a servant. You just want to help people be their best. And sometimes they don't have the courage, but if they can team up with the right person, I can lend you my courage and help you develop your game plan to move forward until you have the courage to fulfill it yourself.
Right. And that is so true. And then I know that from us even talking before, the one thing that I love that you're talking about to me earlier was about balance. And how do you balance the balancing act? So what do you, because with you are busy. I mean, you're doing, you're the superintendent of the school systems, and you've done all these, you got your degrees when your kids were little, and now you're married and you have how many children altogether?
3.
Yeah, right. And so, so the managing that and a house and, school. And then of course, now with school being the way it is, it's a little bit different. So you have other, different kind of oppositions there to conquer. And so what do you suggest to somebody? How do you balance? I mean, how do you balance your life right now with everything? How do you do that? Well, I think that's one of the biggest questions people have.
Yeah, I would say balancing probably isn't my strong suit. I personally believe we have to focus and take care of what's in front of us at the time. But there are people who need that balance, and you can attain it. I have a schedule that I live by every day. It's by the hour, 6 a.m., get up, work out. I write it all down, shower, eat breakfast, then do my daily tasks at work. And then, if you schedule it, it'll happen. You have to schedule your family time, schedule your free time. And just, if you're not procrastinating, and if you believe in, no extra time, if you schedule that, you can have it all. You can be productive and have a balanced life with exercise, social activities, family activities. But whatever you have scheduled at that time, if you procrastinate and put it off, it throws your whole schedule off.
Right.
So, and I know you've had other people on before that have mentioned the importance of scheduling. And that's why I love the no extra time. It just means everything is scheduled. And then you even schedule time for spontaneities, like leave the day blank, and then whatever happens, happens. But you do have to take care of yourself. And I believe that, some of the more high performance habit, one of them is energy. And you can't focus on anything in life if you're not taking care of yourself, which is eat right, exercise to the best of your ability so that you have the sustained energy to achieve your goals and to complete that calendar every day.
Yeah, and that is true. And going back to taking care of yourself, I think that's one of the most important things too, because if you don't feel good and you don't take care of yourself, it's like that insurance policy. If you're not taking care of yourself, then how can you take care of anything else around you? And then as far as the balancing, as far as myself, I have to go by a schedule. If I don't have a schedule, I might as well just forget it. It's just not going to work. Yeah.
And the other piece there I just thought of is if you're following your schedule and you're reaching your goals and you're achieving your plan, that is also opening up your ability to have more freedom and to control your life. Because one story I like to share, when my son was in 4th grade, we're driving to the grocery store and he says, "Hey, Mom," he goes, "they had a best mom contest at church. You should have been put in for it." And I just looked at him. I said, "Well, what do you mean?" I said, "I don't even know what you're talking about." He said, "Well, I just think," he goes, "you have to be the best mom because I know how busy you are, but you always have time for whatever I need."
Oh, and I love that. Yeah.
So, and what I've done in my life has allowed that to happen. So I just touched my heart when he told me that.
Yeah, I know these kids, I tell you, they do. And, and I think that is just one of the best rewards too, when they do tell you, because, they don't really understand when they're little about what goes on as far as keeping everything together. And the other question I wanted to ask you was, when we were talking about like a couple of the things that I do on the podcast is we talk about restorative high performance, renewing your freedoms. And lastly, we talk about rejuvenate playfulness. And ahead of time, we picked out renewing your freedoms. And I was going to have you talk a little bit about the mindset freedom. And what does that mean to you about being worthy? Because I know we talked a little bit about that. What does being worthy mean to you?
I think being worthy to me means that I do value myself and I respect myself and what I do and how I treat others and care for others. That to me, that's being worthy. I want to serve others and do that in an unselfish way, without expecting anything in return. But the being free, the freedom piece of that is, to me, that goes back to we control our own mind. We can worry and stress and all that worry and all that stress. If you had a paper cup, it's still empty. It's still just full of air, even though you feel terrible. So we need to control our own mind, have positive thoughts, think good things, go to a happy place. Because when you're stressed out and worried, whether it's about your child or paying your bills, that's restricting your freedoms and it's restricting your ability to think positively to solve the problem. So I think learning that you're in control of your mind and you're in control of your thoughts, and those impact how you physically and emotionally react to things.
Right. And so with you being in the position that you are and being a superintendent, so everything to me, and I don't know your job, but I'm just assuming this, right? Because just knowing, and I can see Teresa right now, and you guys can, and I can see her background with all of her papers and her books and everything that she's doing. But we talked a little bit about the spontaneous part of it. So when, you have your day planned out and then all of a sudden, something happens. How do you handle that? Because to me, it's just like, okay, so now this happened, but yet I need to be here. And so how do you rearrange to work? Because I think that's a huge question, even with being a mom. We can even go back to being a mom and how that all works. But I mean, with you being the superintendent and you have all these things coming at you at once, and especially now with, the COVID stuff that's going on, how do you change? How do you make that pivot really quickly?
Well, honestly, I think that's one of the best things about my job. It's never the same. It changes every day. And my door's shut right now, and I didn't put a do not disturb sign out. So, I've been a little afraid they might come in.
That's okay.
But no, I mean, that's what I love. You have to, that's what I said, you have to be flexible. You have to know that your day may not go 100% as planned, but that goes back to attitude and how we respond and react. You have to take on what's in front of you, what needs dealt with right there and at that moment. And then you go back and you reevaluate your calendar and you end up shuffling things from today to tomorrow. Or if it's necessary, sometimes you have to work late. But again, that's the freedom. I might work 14 hours today, but maybe tomorrow I'll only work 5,
Right.
So it's just, again, that goes back to attitude and flexibility. And if I get upset about it or frustrated, then that's not good for me. It's not good for the person I'm going to work with. So again, you just have to take it in stride and know that that's the life I chose. So, and if whether you're a parent and your child, they call daycare calls and your child's sick and you have to leave work and go get them. I mean, right at that moment, it was like, oh my gosh, it's only 9 a.m. I'm supposed to be here till 4. But the main thought should be, dang, my child's sick. I want to go be there for my child, and then I can restructure everything else. So again, it's just, I really believe in PMA, positive mental attitude. And that can make everything easier in life. And my other saying is, life is difficult. Just accept it and it won't seem so bad.
That's good too. I'm going to have to write these down. You didn't give me that one. I like that. And what was the other one again? Say the first one you said about
knowledge achieves success.
Right. And then the one you just said before that about the attitude, was it?
PMA, positive mental attitude.
Positive mental attitude. Yeah, that's really important too. And so one question I want to ask, and this is a little bit off subject, but I have this written down all the time to ask people, and we get talking and then I don't ask this question. But one of my things that I believe so strongly in is, especially with the coaching and even with people meeting people, is I always try to meet people where they are at. What does that mean to you when I say that?
Well, I'm going to start off with the educator answer, but I believe that meeting people where they are. I mean, in school, we do it every day. We know their instructional levels, and we need to meet them where they are to get them to grow. So, I mean, it's not like I'm going to take you, Lynn, and you're a 7th grader, and I'm going to start you in 10th grade curriculum. I'm going to assess you, evaluate you, and you may have gaps. So we may be doing 5th and 6th grade work to get you caught up to 7th, or you may excel in areas. So we will do, 8th or 9th grade work. But it's the same whenever you're any human being, wherever they're at. We can't change that. We have to accept that. We get to know them. We try to learn their background, learn their values, their character, what's going on. And then we have to give them the right supports at the right time to move them on. We have to help fill the gaps because we're just human. And you and I are, we have a lot of the same, I think, core values, but we have very different experiences, very different lives. Mm-hmm. And for me to help anyone, I have to accept what they've lived through and where they're at to help them move past it.
Right. And I just love that. I just love that because that's where I've come from too, with meeting people where they're at, because I know that growing up the way that I grew up also, and a lot of times I think when you first meet like a person, you look at them for what they are at that moment. So it's those first impressions. And I know I've said this before on another podcast too. And I think it's so important to stop and listen to, and learn to, who are they? Because you don't know what their life is what's going on in their life at that moment. And so I think it's really important that we do that and stop. And I can imagine with you, with all the children too, it's like, the more you have them year after year, you sort of understand what's going on, like with their family and what's going on in their families and stuff like that. But a lot of times these kids, I know from another friend of mine that's a teacher, she tells me that there's so many children that really don't have put it this way, nothing really stable in their life,
Right.
and so when they don't perform well in school, or they're having, just say they're having a bad day in school, sometimes we don't really know what they've been doing before that, or what's going on, in their life before they walked into the school. And it's the same thing when you meet an adult. You really don't know what's going on. So you really have to listen to that person and try to understand in that short amount of time before you jump to conclusions. Because I used to do that, and I hope that I don't do that no more. I really try to meet people where they're at so I can understand who they are, instead of, because there's times where, we're human and we do things like that. It's silly, right?
Well, and those are called quick judgments. And I think that if we're truly servants to whatever, mankind, humankind, we have to reserve, because it's not our place to judge.
Right.
And it's our place. If we really want to help somebody, we have to listen, understand, and figure out how we can or may not even be able to help that person. But I believe, and here's another one for you. I believe that every human is the best person they can be. They may not have the tools or skill sets to be any better. So, but I don't believe that. I mean, there probably are people that are, evil, but I believe that the majority of human beings are the best person they're capable of being at that time, based on what's going on in their life and the tools and the skill set that they have at that time.
That is so true. I really love that. So before we head off here, a couple things. First of all, I'd like for you to let people know how they could ask a question if they wanted to get a hold of you, what that form of communication is. And then I'd also love for you to, if there's anything else that you would like to talk to the audience before we're done.
Okay. Well, to reach me, currently I don't have a website. I'm in the middle of changing over websites. So my Facebook is Teresa Marlin Chaulk. So it's TERESA MARLIN Chaulk, CHAULK. And you can friend me or message me that way. Or you can email me at tchaulk, so TCHAULK 27 at gmail.com. And if you do email me, please just put podcast in the subject line.
Okay.
And then you can also text me 307-679-0028. And I would love to answer any questions anybody would have. And I would just like to say that a simple plan is you need to assess your life, where you're at. So what now? Where am I at? And am I worthy? And the answer is yes. Develop your game plan. What do you want to do? What's your focus? What's your goals? And then remember, this is key. Once you set that goal and you know the steps, you have to live it every day. So live it every day. And then you need to, again, take care of yourself, figure out that balancing act. But once you're, going down the road, you've got your game plan, you're living it every day, you need to review it. Are you on target? Do you need to make adjustments? And some of these goals can take, if you're wanting to get a degree, it can take 2 years, it can take 4 years, but you can adjust that and monitor it every quarter. And anyway, once you reach your goal, celebrate because you made it. And then, what's next? What are you going to do after you achieve that first goal? Because our whole life is a series of goals, journeys, and destinations. We're never done.
And that is so true, isn't it? And that also is so important to keep that mindset, because everything is achievable. You just have to, set those goals and just look to the next day and keep on doing one step at a time until you achieve that goal. And then in the middle of all that too, you can always celebrate in the middle of everything too, right?
And don't let things, if life happens and there's a tragedy or there's an illness or a celebration, maybe you get married. Yeah. If there's a delay, that's fine. You just adjust. That's where that adjusting comes in. You just adjust and keep going. But don't let anything hold you back or stop you.
Absolutely not. Just got to keep on moving forward. So all these, everything to get a hold of Teresa will be in the show notes, guys. So I'll make up a little show note for this podcast. When it airs, you'll see it underneath it. And then it'll have all the information that you need to get a hold of Teresa or me. And that would be just wonderful. And I want to thank you so much again, Teresa, for coming on today. It was wonderful. And I just love doing these podcasts with everybody because it just gives people these encouragement that, yeah, you can do this. It's all a part of life, right?
Yep, it is. It's all a part of life. And right. So if you're going to uncork yourself, do it in a positive way. Right, Lynn?
Yeah. Uncork yourself is to breathe. You got to make sure you breathe, right?
Yep. Got to breathe.
I love it. Okay. Bye. Love you.
Bye.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye. Thank you for tuning into the show. I hope this brought out your passions, ignited you, and inspired you to restart and reclaim your life. Please subscribe to my podcast and feel free to leave a rating and a review. Until the next episode of Seriously Uncork Yourself, you can check out more information at lynnkuhn.com. That's Lynn, L-Y-N-N, Kuhn, Kuhn.com. Be sure to tune in for my next episode. Sending you all peace and love until our next time together. Seriously Uncork Yourself.